Welcome to ComicCast issue number 195, brought to you by Dwayne's World Comics and Games, 457 East Sullivan Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. They carry comic books, graphic novels, statues, toys, and gaming merchandise, including miniature games, board games, and RPGs. Check them out, Dwayne's World Comics and Games, Kingsport, Tennessee. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I'm Adam Wade Adams.
I'm Jason.
And this is Gaumer.
We're at ComicCast Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Wherever you get social with your media, you're here on YouTube via the S&B Network. Smash that like button. Go smash it. Share out the link. Let's grow the live chat tonight. You can catch the Patreon exclusive pre-show at patreon.com/ComicCastPod. Now's the perfect time to join because Gaumer did not show up. Yeah, so I would get in where you fit in. We got another special guest this week. Mr. Drew Zucker, artist, co-creator of Canto from IDW Publishing. Thanks for coming to hang out.
Hottest book of the year last year.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
It really is. Like, it's crazy.
How did you do it? Did you go to the crossroads?
We talk about books all the time, and it's like, this book is so good. Nobody's talking about it. This book is great. Nobody's talking about it. Everybody was talking about Canto. And for our members, there is a special Canto emoji in the live chat tonight.
That's right.
But yeah, how does an attorney from the West Coast get with an EMT from the East Coast and create magic? How does that happen?
You had David on. That David does a lot of magic.
Yeah, but he based everything on your character, though, right? Your design. He was like, you know what? I see the story behind this, and he made the story behind just on your character. Where does that invention come from on, I guess, both ends? But I mean, especially your design. Like, how did you start your creative process on what even Canto was going to look like?
So Canto was, I did Canto as a challenge to myself originally. I was doing a sketch blog with a bunch of other people and decided for the week I don't like what the topic is, so I just decided, let me see if I can draw something a little more cutesy than what
Anarchy.
I usually do.
Anarchy is the source.
It generally is. Eat the rich. So it started off as kind of a challenge to myself because at the time I was doing a horror book and I wanted to just kind of step out of my comfort zone. And the original design was much more heavily steampunked, but it had a basic idea behind it. The basic idea of the character was there, and it actually got shelved for about 7 years.
Wow.
I put it in a drawer, and I'm one of those really lucky people that no one has run off with my ideas when I pitch them to them, because in hindsight, it's a very bad idea the way I've done things. But when
that horror book, is that the house that you're talking about?
That's the house.
Okay.
David came to me when I was finishing the house to do another project, and I wasn't available to do it. And then when I needed another project, I reached out to him. We talked briefly about what we were interested in doing, and I sent him that drawing of Canto. And he had my one paragraph of what the story was, but he ran with it and developed it into mostly what it is today.
Wow, this is like a true collaboration. You don't see that a lot in comics.
Yeah,
in that way.
I mean, me personally, I am not the artist you hire if you don't want me involved. I can do work for hire books, obviously, like anyone else. But for me personally, when it comes to my own creative stuff, I want to be involved in story crafting. And I'm very lucky that I have collaborators who are so open to that and are comfortable coming to me. I mean, me and David were talking about the end of Volume 2 the other day, and he brought an idea to me, and I kind of went, what if we try this? And it turns into an hour and a half conversation of us spitballing the end, and that's essentially where we've landed with it.
So it's still up in the air.
Can I get some inside info
real
quick?
Give us the scoop. What is that? Of course not. Don't do that. Don't spoil your book.
Shark Attack.
No, oh, sweet Sharknado. That's just what we need.
Canto.
So I have a theory. I think David, you probably talked to you about it, but those infamous guards of the city, the ones that are bickering all back and forth.
Yes.
I think they're the same creature. They're like a giant worm, like a tail end, and they so if you want to spoil some insider info, it's okay. You can let us know.
Yeah, it sounds like the human centipede, and now
it's too close.
I could just hear him saying that, like arguing. They're like, "You're always trying to go somewhere when I want to go somewhere."
Yeah,
right. Like the cat dog of Canto,
exactly.
Yeah.
They're actually two of my favorite things in the entire.
Oh yeah, dude, they're awesome.
Comedy in comics it's hard. It's really hard. And even when I read that script, I was laughing at it. And I through that whole issue, I had to keep telling David, relax. I promise you, it's funny. It's funny. Stop it. And finally, when he had the pages in front of him and he could put the script to it, he was like, oh, yeah, okay, now I get what you mean. It works.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I can see how that'd be hard, like trying to decide if it's going to be like corny or miss the ball, or like going to be spot on. People are going to get it. He nailed it though. You can just imagine their voices, back and forth. It was so good. That's one of my highlights too. One of my favorite parts.
What's nice about my collaboration with him is, and the same thing for Philip on the house, is that I'm personally very close with both of them. So it makes understanding what they're writing and understanding the voice that I need to apply to it in my head makes interpreting what they're doing very easy for me. Obviously some of these scripts are very difficult to draw, but when it comes to figuring out the emotion on the dialogue, it's probably one of the easiest things to do with David's scripts.
I'm amazed with your art when you're talking about emotion. When you've got a character with a mask on, but somehow that character brings emotion. I don't know if it's just through the eyes, the way you draw it.
It's like Ghost Rider. That's what I compare it to.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me.
It is. It's so, yeah.
That was a lot of work at the beginning to ensure we knew that his face would be covered because that's how the original design was laid out. So the challenge was, how do you convey emotion? And when we put him through redesign, part of it was to ensure that the face grate would be a design that if you change the angle of it would potentially turn into a bit of a smile or into a bit of a frown. And you could cheat even the curvature of the facial grates to help convey that. Ultimately, I mean, it definitely does work to some degree, but so much of it is in his eyes. And we did focus heavily on finding a type of eye that had good emotion to it, but also could be manipulated into any sort of emotion that we needed it to be. And then the rest of it is body language. It's understanding figure drawing and how to really convey what you want.
It's awesome.
I'm listening to you talk about collaborating with David. David was a great guest, man. We had a blast with him on here. And this is out of left field. I don't know what platform or how you guys would go about it, but I got a buddy that writes, I'm actually wearing his t-shirt, the comic book brand, and which he runs a YouTube channel, so it's easier for him. So he sat down with his artist and they did director's commentary on the first issue of their comic. And like, that's gold. And I think more creators should do that, man. Let people inside.
Yeah. Canto has kind of opened up an entire world for me and David that neither one of us had really been exposed to before. Like we both have had minor successes here and there, but nothing quite like Canto. And Canto took us by surprise too. So we spent a lot of time playing catch up, but we've gotten this really interesting look at the industry in terms of the stuff that we want to do to grow the brand, because we both are very much of the opinion we're thrilled to have the loyal fans that we do, because the ones we have, they are loyal as hell, and they love this thing. We're also not unaware that for as well as the book did, it's kind of minor league ball numbers. There's room to definitely grow it, and we want to continue to grow it. So we have talked about doing stuff like that, either through interviews, either through working with our publicist, or the merchandise that we're doing, like any number of things. We've basically put a lot of stuff on the table, and we're in the process of seeing what the next step is.
So for the upcoming, I'll say for the upcoming animated series, are you the ones gonna have to draw everything, or did you have to delegate and teach people how to draw?
It's funny you should say that. No, we obviously we're not allowed to say anything about it. We are working on it. Mm-hmm. What was interesting though was when we brought artists in to do the incentive covers. Mm-hmm. I take for granted how easy Canto is to draw, because I spend all my time with him.
Yeah.
I will doodle him on everything if you let me. I'm like a kid who gets crayons in the house.
I was going to say like the Stussy S or whatever the S, to draw it everywhere you go.
It's bad. It's really bad. But I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. That's my fault. Okay, so when you see other creators' designs, you take it for granted how easy it was to draw Canto.
When we started getting the covers, it's really fun to see everybody's take on it. It's also like you take for granted how I interpret this character and how hard he can be for other people to interpret certain things sometimes. A buddy of mine did a drawing of a Malarex the other day. He sent it to me and he was like, how the hell do you draw this thing every day? Like, it makes no sense. I was like, it's because its anatomy is essentially a cross between a bear and a gorilla. And it doesn't quite make sense, but it makes sense to me. So it works. He was like, why?
How'd you create this? Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
We started this show off on the wrong foot.
That was my fault.
What's up, Oscar? Oscar's here. Chris is here. The entire Lost in Comics family is here. But man, we just kind of came out of the gates firing with the Canto talk. But we have a little tradition here. We're gonna rewind and we're gonna start things the right way. Jason, you want to tell him what we do around here, Jason?
Yeah, sure.
He probably already knows. He already watched.
He probably does. Yeah, you probably get the heads up.
Okay.
Yeah. We always ask everyone, what is your favorite Rocky movie?
We're gonna go with 4.
Hey!
Listen,
there are no wrong answers.
Somebody being honest. Somebody.
4 is where Paulie dies, right?
What's that?
What?
4 is where Paulie dies, right?
Apollo
dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where's Paulie die?
Paulie dies.
He died in Balboa.
Does he die between 5 and
he does? He dies after. He doesn't die. He's alive in Rocky
Creed,
Balboa.
right?
I think he dies. Yeah. It's insinuated he's dead in Creed because you see his
Are you saying your favorite one is whichever one Paulie dies in?
I thought he died in 4, but really, let's be honest about it, that robot, man.
He banged that. He banged that robot, dude.
Yeah, that robot. Listen, man, I want a movie of R2, Johnny Clyde, and that robot.
That's a comic book crossover.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
That robot's already in comics. Ronald Grant's got that first appearance, bro.
Yeah, Banjax. Yeah,
I want that episode.
I'm still angry Paulie threw out that perfectly good turkey in Rocky 1. It's like, man, that's some good eating there, and you just throw it out the yard.
My brother hates Paulie so much. He's like, he just ruined everything for Rocky. He put in the bad investments. He's like this. He was so happy when Paulie died as well. He's like, I hate that mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, why are you trusting your gym coach with your money investment?
Yeah.
A guy that looks like he owes like $30,000 to a loan shark.
Yeah, your brother-in-law.
He has all that experience selling that meat.
He lets a man into the meat locker to beat up on
to beat up the meat.
That's sanitary.
And then he gets the press in there. He's making things happen. Hey, give me a robot.
A lot of people would like a legitimate job, but he was the guy who actually wanted to get into breaking people's legs and collecting money.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm so glad you said 4 though. That is awesome.
There's
We're taking a poll, and
answers, but
that is my favorite one. I think it might be Boogie's as well.
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah,
It's everybody's favorite, and they lie because they have to try to be sophisticated.
No,
Talk about film
Rocky
making.
whatever.
They always say Rocky won.
Was
I
such a
have plenty
great
of things that make me sophisticated. I do not need to lie about my stance.
You don't, but they do.
Yeah, good man. Yeah.
I don't lie. I like Rocky 1. I like
great.
like it.
Rocky One,
Adam, and you're right. It's the best one. It doesn't
And
matter
plus-
what you say. There are
and
no
4,
wrong
when
answers.
I see Stallone hanging off the edge doing those sit-ups that I can't do, that pisses me off.
Yeah, you're jealous. It's okay. Okay. You need more
I can't do
steroids.
those.
Okay.
All right, sorry. So Drew, your art. One thing I noticed, it's like you must. I just had the thought of you must not like empty spaces, because it seems like you make use of like the entire space of a panel. But I mean, you're still focused on what you need to be focused on, but you use all the space there.
What
that
he's
you
saying
can.
nicely is that he hates it when creators cut corners because of deadlines and leave blank backgrounds. That's
What he's saying is he hates when people write words. And he
that
appreciates your art.
That too.
So part of that is when I was in school, backgrounds were hammered into us to no end.
Nice.
I understand the corner cuts from time to time. I'm also, because obviously this is a business. At the end of the day, we have to hit our deadlines because we're only one part of the machine here. But to that end, especially with Canto and especially in that first volume, it was really important to me that we made the world feel really alive, because Canto Volume 1 as a story is admittedly very straightforward. It really is just kind of Canto starts at A, Canto goes to B, Canto goes to C, and we have some stuff in between, and it's a really good journey, but we aren't deviating all that far from it. So the background stuff becomes really important to help with the world building that we don't necessarily want to get away from that main journey to do. So that was a lot of the thought process behind it. And it's also just that I really like that world, and I had a good time drawing in it.
Nice.
John's Comics with Kids says, looking forward to future Canto issues a bunch. And I know you already mentioned, collaborating on Volume 2. Do you guys have a time frame for when we'll see Volume 2?
We do. So IDW got back to us. They've readjusted their schedule. As of right now, Clockwork Fairies will be out July 8th.
Oh, nice.
And tentatively, we don't have the exact date yet. Canto 2 is going to be late summer, early fall.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
it's not being delayed quite as far as we actually thought it would be.
Nice. Yeah.
You know what I want to do? I would love if you and David we could get the schedules ironed out. I know you guys are both busy, but usually we bring people on ahead of time and promote, and we'll do that. We'll promote it. We're all going to be reading Volume 2. We all enjoyed the book. We'll be promoting it. I would love to have you guys come on after that first issue of Volume 2 drops and kind of talk through some of that creative process. I think that would be fun if we could iron out our schedules on that. But
that'd be fun, because not for nothing, this has been a totally different experience for us from doing Volume 1. And I would say it's probably been a little more stressful because we kind of exist in like this vacuum where 90% of the time it's me and David, and then eventually Vittorio and Darren come in. And they're only with us for so long. But you kind of can't see the woods for the trees. Sometimes it's just because all you're doing is working. So when Volume 1 came out, when Issue 1 came out, we didn't even really believe the success it had. I did a signing at my local shop. David did a signing on release day, and they sold out.
Yeah.
But we were like, oh, that makes sense. It's our home
Release. Yeah.
It made sense. We knew the reviews were good. And then we started seeing like the Twitter activity, and we were like, oh, yeah, okay. And then we went to San Diego, and our jaws just kind of hit the floor.
It was like World War Z. The crowd was just kind of clamoring for it. You're like, ah.
Joe Hill and Gabe Rodriguez were signing before us. So we were like, okay, maybe we'll get a few people left over that didn't like get their book signed by them, or you're going to get the inevitable. Are you Gabe Hill and Joe Rodriguez?
Right.
Do I look like Joe Hill to you? And also, Walt Simonson was signing at the table next to us. So I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. You know, the legends and the two schmucks. And then we sat down, and the line stretched around the booth. And we were just like, oh, okay, this is actually a thing. So working with what?
I was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it goes back to what you said about world building. I think you and all of you on this comic created a world that just grabbed people's imaginations.
Sucks
the same thing that Harry Potter did. I mean, this world has that. It just grabs your imagination, and the possibilities are endless, and people can just live in this world.
David was really clever with the way he did stuff, because he always included enough to fulfill our story obligations, but also like the stuff with the knight was just such a clever idea in terms of how to introduce legacy into the universe really easily. And he puts enough in there to fulfill our story obligations, and then leaves enough room for me to just kind of go and do whatever it is I'm going to go and do.
Yeah, I think also the audience's comfortability with maybe things they're familiar with already, like like a lot of the Wizard of Oz kind of compatible comparisons were there. I feel like I forgot what else David brought up as well, but there was a lot of similarities to things that people have known before and have seen before, but not in this way. Especially combined or consolidated together to form this new way of storytelling. So yeah, a lot of people are super stoked about it, and after the success, everyone's super hyped for what's coming. And I feel like you guys are just beginning. I know you guys can't talk about an animated series or what have you. My buddy John's Comments with Kids who commented earlier, him and I are going to play Dungeons and Dragons later. I was like, I really want to see a Canto kind of Dungeons and Dragons game. You go do an adventure.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, it fits perfectly for that. So I'm sure you guys have that covered. But looking forward to it all.
It's something that we talked about, and it will potentially come down the road.
Well, IDW's already got that in. D&D brand.
Yeah, I mean, our thing was, we can talk about all this stuff, but we just want to make like a really good comic right now.
Yeah.
These guys are always on the prowl, trying to attack people when they come on the show and get the inside scoop. That's what they do. You got to.
I'm hungry for knowledge. I'm hungry for knowledge.
That's the job.
And I just try to come up with ideas and pitch my ideas.
Put my ideas in your story.
Like sitting here, I just thought of how cool it'd be for your Canto Volume 1 trade paperback, which is out now. If you got the Giants, if you had a bookmark where one giant, they stuck out each end so they could interact with each other.
I do have to point out that Venomized Ryan and Chad Johnson
are both in the
in the live chat at the same time.
See, now they're both our number one fans, and we always say they're the same person because we've never seen them in the chat at the same time. And so now, one of you apparently has a fake account. So
I don't know. I think Venomized Ryan has just disappeared since that came out. William Page says, "I want Canto miniatures. I want a Canto Funko Pop, and I will not give up till I have it." It's perfect. It is perfect.
All right, so I can give you one piece of advice about the Funko Pop. The more you guys buy, the easier it will be to make that happen.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, they're both here. Look at Venomized Ryan calling him out. Venomized Ryan, you are the number one fan, and I know that.
Yeah.
Amy. Amy
you all have I'm blanking on the name of not the monster creatures, but the giant monsters in the woods that one of them turned out to be nice.
Oh, the
Yeah. At what point did they think that the little robot people were food? Like that just makes it's like why would they think these metal things are food?
I think they eat anything, right?
Story for later.
Okay.
Adam, calm
Fair
down.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. No, it's just one of the questions. Like, at what point did they think that these were food? But if that's going to be in later, I look forward to it.
In
Absolutely.
the age of the Tide Pod Challenge, I don't question what people are.
Yeah, I always picture like Looney Tunes when you get hungry enough, they turn into like a drumstick. You know, they're walking around.
Are you reading anything now? Like, you reading any current comics or
Nothing current. I am admittedly a trade waiter only because my life and my schedule don't really allow me to follow single issues. I have stuff here and there I'll follow, but for the most part, I don't have time for it. I started reading Akira though recently.
Oh,
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, that.
You've seen the anime,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, I was introduced to the anime when I was like 14, I think, and I just never got around to the book. And
Yeah.
like,
This 2020 is way worse than that one. At least that one was just Tokyo, okay? I was cool with that happening in Akira. That was dope. This 2020 apocalypse, no.
Yeah,
This is a boring
local
one.
artist here, Ed Pisker, here in Pittsburgh. Ed Pisker, he's cartoonist kayfabe on YouTube. He's done like Hip Hop Family Tree. He's a big manga fan, and he got to go. He's a huge Akira fan in particular, and he got to go to Japan and see the original prints and see the different versions. There's apparently three different versions of that explosion that happened in the beginning, and he got to see all the different versions and stories and translations from those who did it. This is a huge I don't know, that's amazing. He tried to tell us here on this channel, but I wish we could have had a documentary of that stuff.
It's incredible, that stuff. Like, it is just whatever you think of the story, the level of mastery of skill at visual storytelling is just like it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
let me hit this super chat real quick. Chad Johnson says, I am the #1 fan for $1.99. And he says, chug that root beer, Adam. Let's get some Adam emojis in the chat.
We haven't seen Adam chug root beer in a while.
Yeah, let's get some root beer emojis in the chat. It's a big part of this show. In all seriousness, Chad, it's so cool to see you back, man. I missed you, buddy.
Yeah,
I was
welcome back,
actually
Chad.
talking to my wife today about Chad.
I'm
I'm like, man, he's not been in the chat. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what's up with that, but we're glad you're back. Crispy Bacon is here and says, first time viewer.
God,
I'll be
what a
back for
great
more.
name.
And
That's
I
a
will
great
be
name.
a better fan than both of them.
Awesome. The game is on. Crispy Bacon.
Yeah, you're well on
You
your way with
definitely
that
beat
name.
them in the name game. I love
Yeah.
it. Crispy
Yo,
Bacon. Come
we
on.
suck up to new fans real fast. And you can buy the official ComicCast t-shirt. The link's in the bio. Go check it out.
Oh yeah.
Do you prefer? You said you read trades. Do you prefer actual physical trades, or do you read or prefer digital because of your job and lifestyle?
I do a lot of digital, but I am also a big believer in, like, if you really like something, I want to own it. I am not one of these people that's like digital is the death of the comic industry. I'm more in the camp of I think they serve two different masters, and they're actually kind of essential to support one another.
No, absolutely.
Time and time again, it's been shown that the numbers Comixology brings in are not picking away at the comic shops. The comic shops are actually they had a good run up until the world ended. They were, for the most part, a lot of them were doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, life unforeseen to anything that they did is going on, obviously, but I tend to jump back and forth between both.
Yeah. I mean, for myself, even as a collector who buys, physical and digital, I appreciate digital so much because it doesn't take up space.
Man, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm
still buying a lot of physical stuff, but stuff I gotta own, stuff I love so much, or that thing, legendary stories, different hardcover editions, things like that. I'll buy, or things I collect in particular. Like I collect covers of Batman holding guns because he's not supposed to have them. Like pre the Grim Knight stuff.
Right.
But there's a good bit. But yes, I'm always on the hunt for things. But man, digital is such a savior now because I don't have any room to put stuff. I kind of ran out of room.
People, I don't think really consider that sometimes. And the other end of it is that digital tends to run better sales. And it's great for getting people involved in stuff. Like for me, I have a lot of friends that are not big comic guys. It's easier for me to direct them over to Comixology, where it's like, go read Lock and Key, and they can go and get the whole thing in one shot.
It's literally a click away. You send them a link and they have it.
Right.
It's not like, oh yeah, go down to the store and then ask this guy. He'll tell you what, it's a
it is. There is something to be said for its convenience.
Yeah. And on the opposite end, like you said, as far as, if you really like something, you want to own it. If I have something digital, I don't consider whether it's a movie, book, whatever. I don't think that I own it until I have that physical copy. Yeah. That's when I own it.
Yeah. It's funny because like I have probably over 200 digital video games because I'm just a fiend for buying stuff on PlayStation Store and movies or what have you. And it's like, man, like if you think about it, it's like you're really renting them because you pay for them, but then you got to rent the subscription service every year to have them and to watch or play.
You're leasing.
Yeah,
But I saw a comparison about this that was interesting to me because I hate digital comics. You guys know that. I cannot stand them. I just don't like, and it's not. I support my local comic shop, whatever. It's personal preference, right? That's what it is. But I saw like a video game. Your experience with that game is no different whether you own it physically or whether you own it digitally. It's the same with the movie.
The only difference is the resale value. If you want to sell it after you watch it or play it,
but your experience as a person is the same. Whereas a comic book, your experience is different. And that's when Gaumer's like, "Oh, you're a comic snob." It's not that. It's the experience.
I don't call you a comic snob.
I want to have it in my hand. That's what I like.
When DC announced that the Black Label and we had Batman Damned come out in that big format, the big magazine size, it just kind of entrenched me with the arts. It just enveloped me because it's so large, and I just like read that thing and studied it, up and down, more than a regular comic book.
Especially that one panel.
Something about that physical format's fantastic, and it's a must-own kind of thing. Was that Adam?
There are books that can't be translated for digital. I don't know. Have you ever read A Tale of Sand?
No.
Ramon Perez Archaea put it out a few years ago. It's basically a interpretation of a old Jim Henson script that never got made.
Oh wow!
The book narratively is like, okay, I'm confused about what's happening, but cool, I'm going with it. The art in it, though, and the design in it is extraordinary. And it's one of those books that it has to be read physically. I don't see a way that I'm sure it exists digitally. I don't see how reading it digitally actually gets you the experience that the book is meant to have. There are books like that. And I never fault anybody that wants to keep their physical copies around, especially if you're looking to support these shops that are essentially small businesses and everything in between. But to me, the industry is not that big of an industry, even at a $750 million mark or almost $1 billion mark. There's still a relatively small industry by comparison in publishing. So you know what? The more people I can bring into it, the better. I don't care physical or digital. I'm just here to make comics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Ryland Grant, our good friend and writer of Banjax and, nominated Ringo
Award winner. Name another Ryland Grant.
But now he's nominated for Banjax. Aberrant won the Ringo, but now, Banjax is nominated for this year. Yeah. But so our good friend Ryland Grant is all about, whenever you get into anything, you bring your friends with you. You open a door and you shove all your friends with you into it. You bring everyone with you. And I love that attitude because it exposes so many people to a lot more opportunities and just exposure to different content and situations that, everyone can get behind. And that's the kind of the same mindset I think you're talking about as well.
Well, yeah. Well, especially Canto. So when we started Canto, part of our goal was to, I call it the reclaiming of the all ages title from the comic industry, because all ages for decades has kind of been this pandering title that gets slapped on stuff where it's work for hire that is basically just put it out, get it done. It's for kids. Who cares? Throw it out there.
Yeah.
We very much took the stance of what are the things that we read and watched growing up. And so much of it was Ghostbusters, 90s Ninja Turtles movie, Dark Crystal, Never-Ending Story. And even Star Wars, you go back and you watch this stuff and it's like, this is dark. And I mean, you're like, I was 7 when I saw this. I shouldn't have been.
Right? That horse died in Never-Ending Story. And
Yeah,
Dude, Luke's dad cuts his hand off.
yeah, too. Yeah.
but
His
Dark.
dad?
Oh, spoiler alert. Sorry.
Spoiler alert. God.
we went back to that idea of part of the goal was the way I interpreted Ghostbusters when I was 7 is very different from how I interpret it when I'm 10. It's very different from how I interpret it when I'm 13. It's very different how when I'm 20 to when I'm 30. That's what we wanted to be able to do. We wanted a 7-year-old to be able to sit down with this book with their parent, read it, the parent enjoy it as much as them, and then, a few years down the road, maybe they come back to it. Maybe they drift away from comics and they, come back to the book, and it now has a totally different meaning for them. Or better yet, we turn them into a fan and they stick around in the industry.
Nice.
That was a huge part of what we aimed to do with this. And so far, we've been given a lot of validation with that from friends and people who we've never met who have told us about their experiences with this book and their kids.
Awkward moment of silence. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
No,
I'm
everyone's
like that
Sorry.
experience. I'm trying to think of a movie, because I know I've had the
You?
experience,
No.
but I can't think of what it was. But whereas, when I watched it before, I enjoyed it on the part of like the protagonist, the good guy, for lack of better words. Or
And as you get older, you
the
can
good
relate
person.
to the
But
villain.
yeah, but then you watch it later, you're like, you know what? I'm actually on the side
Thanos
of
was
the other
right.
guy. Yeah. Forget those guys. I mean, they did him wrong, and that's why he was bad to begin with. So it's really interesting, how age and experience and time changes your perception.
Completely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And,
I think. Sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry, Drew.
and that was a huge part of what we wanted to do. The worst thing in the world to me is that the industry can sometimes be overloaded with content, and Marvel and DC have to produce what they're going to produce. They've got their marching orders, and they have to hit their monthly deadlines. But comics are its own unique medium to tell stories in, and that's when you're doing this creator-owned stuff, and you have that opportunity to be able to just kind of throw caution to the wind with it. It goes a long way to being able to do something like this, where people can come back around to it, at any age.
Yeah, I think that it's great that you're not only just creating a brand, but I mean like a legacy, and that's kind of what the comic is about as well. It kind of comes full circle, which is really neat and pretty meta. That's really interesting. I have no doubt, like, you're gonna make some lifetime fans that are gonna not only keep along with this or go along for the ride from start to finish, but like you brought up, there's gonna be some, of course, people life gets in the way. You become a teenager, and that becomes. Comics become on the back burner when you're a teenager,
Oh, they're gonna want more too.
Then you'd be like, you know what? Let me revisit that. Let me see what that was about.
More on my personal end, I really wanted to make something for the shops that would, and we've been accused, it's just a toy, basically. And it's like, yes, I will fully admit, this thing was designed and made with the idea that it could be translated into other things and into merchandise. I will never hide that fact.
Yeah, I mean, so was Spawn. Like, it's like,
we first and foremost want to make a great comic. That's what we do. Ultimately, I'm an artist. I draw. My bread and butter and what will put food on my table is that book. That book will be my legacy, and that book will be what makes me money. All the other stuff is ancillary, and it's nice that it's there, and the more I get out of it, cool, the better. But ultimately, that book is what we will be remembered for and what the character will be associated with the most.
Nice. Nice.
That's awesome.
It really
I like that just to know that you have to create an IP, I think, and just know that you have this unique IP that is yours. That will, in a way, provide for you and kind of take care of you and your family. It's got to be an amazing feeling.
Oh yeah, I mean, the other end of it is that I saw Neil Gaiman did an interview.
That's what I said. What did I tell you?
Neil Gaiman did an interview where he said, when you're writing, you're effectively getting to play God. And there's some truth to that. Canto is a very pure form of creation where it is me and one other person who I am good friends with, and I get to just hang out with my buddy and make this thing that we both love. There aren't multiple hands meddling in it. There's no studio meddling in it. You know, there's no one telling me, well, we need more of this because we need to sell this amount of toys.
What if Canto had sunglasses?
Yeah.
Maybe a surfboard.
Canto the flamethrower.
It is a very pure form of creation, and it's a really nice experience to have.
Well, we're all fans of it. There's tons of links in the description. I've got the
yeah.
link to the first volume on Amazon, the link to your website, your social media, all that good stuff.
I'm definitely going to pick up The House. I'm stoked to read that graphic.
Yeah,
novel.
I didn't even.
Yeah.
I was unfamiliar with this, and now I want to check that out. I want to see you with a different style of book.
War horror, like Boogie and I are like super into war stuff, and like a
Yeah.
horror comic on top of that. It sounds amazing.
That
And
book,
it looks so good. It's amazing. Looks
that
great.
book was that book has had this really weird journey where it started as it took 7 years to finish it. So
Oh wow.
that was fun. But it went from Comixology to Kickstarter. Kickstarter did really well, and then that book only gets sold through me and Philip basically hand over fist selling it to people.
Oh wow.
And we did Emerald City a few years ago. We sold like 40 copies, but I had no voice by the end of it because I literally had to sell it. You have to hard pitch every single person on it.
Yeah.
This whole pandemic has actually been kind of a blessing for the book because with Diamond shut down, shops are looking for something new, and I've been able to kind of parlay the Canto success into, hey, I did something else.
Nice.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Very
Sure.
We've been able to move a ton of copies into shops, and they all keep coming back and saying we're selling out, people are digging it, they love it, which is like the best thing in the world for that book because I love that book. We have more stuff planned for that type of thing. We have a direct sequel that we'll get to eventually.
Oh wow.
But we also have a Vietnam horror book planned.
Oh,
Sick.
that is
Oh,
right
dude.
up my alley.
If Philip has become a lunatic, has bought more Vietnam books than anyone else I've ever met, and could probably teach a college course on
Oh
it.
wow.
Well, that's awesome.
So we're excited to get back to that eventually, but Canto is sort of the priority at the moment.
Sure.
But there will be more of it.
So is the other book available on your website?
Yes, the other
cool.
is available on my website or at Philip Seavey's website, or just hit either one of us up on Twitter, and we can get you a copy.
Which, spoiler alert, Philip is coming on in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that interview.
He's
Sure, we'll talk more about that.
Philip is a handsome individual with the most glorious hair I've ever seen.
Oh, Gomer's going to be so pissed. Gomer's
There
going to be
you
so mad when he comes on.
Battle it out. Have at it.
That'll be great.
I thought we had a rule. That was my only
Sorry, man.
rule.
Yeah, you can't bring on guests that have
Sorry,
better
man.
hair.
Better hair than me.
Look, again, we appreciate you coming on. Guys, check out all the links in the description. Go pick up Canto. Go check out all the links. But Drew, we appreciate you coming on. I'm serious. When Canto Volume 2 drops, man, we would love
we
to have
gotta
you
do
and
this
David
again,
on
dude,
together.
for sure.
That would be
Yeah.
great. That'd be great.
We would be more than happy to come on. Me and David are a lot of fun if you actually get us together.
Awesome.
Oh, can't wait, man. So
Can't
we'll
wait, yeah,
definitely
you know.
be in touch. Thank you for coming on. We're going to move on and talk some Secret Wars. But Drew, thanks for coming on, man.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
And a great guy.
Awesome dude, man.
I knew he
That
was
guy.
gonna
Who books the guests for this show? He must be an amazing individual.
He's okay.
He is an amazing
Ryland?
individual.
You mean
He
Ryland?
talked about how much of an amazing person he was before the show started, because Gaumer went into all the medical stuff, man.
Yeah,
like he's a goddamn hero, you know.
He is. He's a
Gaumer ruined the show. That
Way to
10
go,
minutes,
Gaumer.
that 10 minutes behind the scenes should have been on air.
That whole thing gets kind of political. I was trying to get it out of the way, and
It really, especially how it ended.
It didn't get political until Adam started talking.
I didn't really want it to go into. All right, what are we actually talking about, guys?
Look,
right,
we're
all right.
gonna. Does anybody have anything they want to talk on random reviews? Did anybody read
No.
anything?
I did. I read the new Flash.
Wait, well, let me do this first then. Let's get into some random reviews presented by collarandelbowbrand.com. Check out these amazing professional wrestling t-shirts. Even if you don't like wrestling, if you like the Wu-Tang Clan, pick that shirt up. If you like Pink Floyd, grab that shirt. If you like Carol Baskins and the King of Tigers, Joe Exotic, you can get that shirt at collarandelbowbrand.com. Use the promo code
that Pink Floyd one in the middle, the bottom row. That's so good.
That is
Save
good.
10% at checkout.
I
Throw
don't
a
like
little money our
wrestling,
way.
and I would get that.
Brother.
So I read a little bit of Arrow. I'm almost done with it.
You're almost done with it. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, no. Well, I'll let you go because this won't take 2 seconds. Because of all that, I was like, I got to go back and watch Arrow, like the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you
Because
ever
I
watched it before?
I watched like most of the first season and then just kind of
It gets better. It gets
Even
better.
though I
It's
like it.
better.
I
It
like
better
it.
get better.
It
The
does
first
get
half
better.
of
You know what's
season 1 is
funny?
trash.
As I said, Gaumer, do you know who Count Vertigo is? Nope. Well, he's the villain in season 1 of Arrow. So
I watched the first half.
thanks for
It's
paying
nice.
attention.
No,
Uh,
it gets.
that's
My
why I
beef
was like,
with the CW shows is there's so many of them. They take forever. It's like 45-minute episodes, and there's so many episodes. It's life draining, bro. But like,
But I'm
this
watching
show
it
gets
while
better.
I'm watching it while I'm working.
Oh,
I just
nice.
Kind of have it to the side, so I'm probably missing some stuff, but it's like I don't care. What difference does it make? I'm having fun with it. I'm having
That's
fun
a-
with it.
Watch it.
But what'd you read, Jason? What'd you read this week?
The newest Flash issue. As you recall, the prior issue ended with Flash going, "Oh, I got to get the Reverse Flash's help, and where do I find him? At the scene of my mom's death. I got to go back." And I'm like, "This is going to be dope." How does it start off? Amazing. The next issue starts off amazing. It shows the deaths of Eobard Thawne, and it just has all the different versions of ways he's died in the past. I'm like, this is incredible. And then it shows Barry Allen. It's like, okay, well, here I go. I'm going to travel. And where does he go? Instead of going to his mom's death scene, he goes into the future for exposition on why he needs to go to his mom's place of death again. It's like, we just covered this. I get like it's everyone's first issue.
Do it.
And then you need this exposition and stuff to happen. But like for your readers that are reading this every issue, you get the same crap over and over. And it's so frustrating. It's just wasted pages, you know? So I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn on whether I really like this issue or not, but he does eventually go and talk to Reverse Flash. And at the end of it, he's like, guess what? We got to team up, you know? And of course, while they're fighting and arguing, they come to that conclusion. They got to team up, and he knew where it's going. But so it's skippable, but it is cool to see. It has some great art. So
I was doing business. What issue was that?
I'm not sure. It's the newest one. It came out like a week ago. Or this week.
751 or 2, right?
The one that's
Something like that.
digital. It's digital only right now.
740. Yeah. No. You
It
can
was
get
the
them if your
continuation
shop
of the
is
storyline.
getting-
It's not the one-off new digital stuff that's coming out now. It's
Yeah.
not like the Batman
DC is
stuff
putting
or
out
whatever.
books through distributors other than Diamond. That's how.
Yeah.
See, I'm so terrible when it comes to paying attention to that stuff.
I know.
So how is it working? Is DC sending books to shops? My shop's closed.
They're
So
sending books to shops that are open and requesting the books.
okay, so cool. So what happens 3 weeks from now when my shop opens and
Diamond
I
will-
want this issue?
Diamond will pick up those issues and still
Okay.
distribute
Okay.
them when they are made available to Diamond.
Okay.
But you have to order them through your comic shop.
Sorry, Jason. Drew messaged me and was like, "I'm sorry, I hit exit by accident really quick." I was like, "Dude, it's cool. You're fine." I'm fine. So I missed the first part of that and I was lost.
No,
Sorry.
you're good.
Go ahead.
I'm looking forward to you reading it. I mean, it's probably worth reading, you know, just for the action scenes. But yeah, I also picked up American Barbarian hardcover, different hardcover version by Tom Scioli. And I bought this because it was recommended by Gerard Way. And this one, I was lucky enough to get like a signed copy edition out of 100, number 19 out of 100. So Pretty cool.
Nice.
Pretty rare. So I'm excited to dig into that because it looks really weird and kind of funny. I think it looks like something like Adam would really enjoy. It kind of seems like humorous, and it doesn't take itself so seriously. Kind of like the Agents of Hate stuff. So yeah, I mean that's
sounds like a waste of time.
No, I don't know. It seems fun, man. It got a lot of good reviews, man. A lot of people will really talk highly about this. Yeah, it's an Eisner nominated series. So
I don't know that I've heard of it. Is it old?
American Barbarian. It seems like it's almost like a funny, jokey Conan the Barbarian ripoff, and he has like red, white, and blue hair.
An homage.
Yeah, an homage, if you will.
If you will.
But it's very, the thing about Tom Scioli is like his art is very Kirby-esque. So, it kind of seems very, very old school. And it's almost like Ed Piskarish kind of also,
He's read Tom Scioli. It was in that GoBots book.
Yeah, and the Fantastic Four Grand Design,
Yup.
And wasn't it Transformers G.I. Joe?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't recall.
I don't recall.
I don't have total.
I'm actually rereading on my way, rereading More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light, Transformers.
Oh, cool.
That's been great. I rewatched Umbrella Academy. So rad, so good.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's about it.
I love Hazel and Cha-Cha.
No,
I have been watching some stuff too. I started watching the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures live action TV show, and also the Bill and Ted animated show.
I watched the animated show.
Wow, what's the deal? Why are you so?
I don't know because
deep. I'm just saying.
I know the
balls
animated,
deep in
but I
Bill-
never heard of the live action TV show.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, well, I haven't seen Bogus Journey in a long time, so I bought that, and then I was like, of course, I know everything about Excellent Adventure. I love that. I watched the VHS to death, where it was like messing up. I wore my VHS out. How old was I when I watched that?
How old are you now?
35.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
you were younger than us. That makes sense. Sorry.
I just act immature, yes. I'm young at heart.
No, you just got nice, clean skin.
mentally
Is all.
Yeah, nice.
Sidetrack.
Anyways, so I watched Bogus Journey, Excellent Adventure, and then I was like, what else Bill and Ted stuff is there? I think that's it. And then I was like, oh wow, there's an animated show, and it's produced and by Keanu Reeves and the guy who played Bill and Rufus, that comedian.
Oh wow,
Alex Winter.
Alex Winter and the comedian guy that played Rufus,
George Carlin.
Yeah, and they did the voices in the cartoon.
Nice.
And, I'm like, this is amazing.
George Carlin is also the narrator on the Thomas the Tank Engine show.
Oh, really? That's weird.
I know.
That's crazy. Yeah. So then I started. I was like, oh, there's also a live action series. And
weird. I never heard of that live action.
I never heard of the live action.
You can watch both of those for free on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
There's playlists. It's awesome. The TV show I think is only like 2.5 hours long. But it's a good concept. The first issue is an unreleased pilot episode, and it ends on a cliffhanger, like it's going to be a part 2, and then the first episode starts and you're like, what happened to the end? Like, so I was like right away kind of upset. But it's a good premise. It works the same way as the movie does. It's like, oh, we have a problem. Here comes a time machine. Rufus is like, hey, you got to fix this or else it changes history. Okay, well, let's go back to something. Something happens in the past history, bring something back, and then okay, it's fixed. And then you go on next episode. It's just simple premise and it's fun. I have been enjoying both, so it's been really weird. I love kind of absorbing weird pop culture. So I recommend it.
Carlin chat going on in the live chat. Carlin's great in everything.
I had all the I had some of the action figures from that.
Gomer, you brought up in our messenger chat at ComicCast, saying how you want to bring on guests for specific things, and it's so weird. So, like I was thinking the same thing too.
Oh wow!
Especially because I was diving into this Bill and Ted stuff. Like I really want to find some people that were responsible for like the Bill and Ted TV show or animated series like stuff, and like talk.
What, are you shooting for the stars?
He is.
I mean, I would love to get George Lucas on and talk about how he created Star Wars. But,
it's
he's a little busy.
You know what I mean? It's not.
Hold on, let me hit up Keanu.
Yeah,
but not that. But I'm like, it's funny because I think I could get in contact with the Barbarian dude from Bill and Ted, but it's like. But you're asking like it's high aspirations to get someone that worked on the animated TV show or TV series. That went nowhere. It's like, oh, high aspirations.
If we could get the guy that did Napoleon, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I love that dude.
Well, I got Matthew Rosenberg and Kelly Thompson, so you're up. It's your turn.
Fill
Bill
it
and
up.
Ted show. Bill and Ted.
We'll all
show.
say
Uh,
Ziggy Piggy, Ziggy
Yeah.
Piggy, Ziggy
I got to give
Piggy.
Adam a chance first. Adam, did you read
Piggy.
anything? Talk about anything?
No. Oh,
Let's talk.
no, I did watch. I binged all of the TV show Solar Opposites on Hulu.
Oh, yes.
If you
mentioned.
like Rick and Morty,
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay.
then I definitely recommend Solar Opposites. It's funny. It's a fun show.
Let's get into book club. OutrightGeekery.com, your one-stop shop for news, reviews, previews, podcasts, everything geek at your fingertips. Also, the home of the Outright Geekery Podcast Network. Check them out. The Geek Savs, Get Valiant, the Comic Book Bullies, Instruments of Destruction, and, of course, ComicCast. OutrightGeekery.com.
They're pretty good.
All right, Gomer, you're up. This is your book, so I want to let you kind of get us going.
Oh my gosh! Here's all the issues.
So dope.
You know what's funny?
All of these covers.
I told you guys I thought
Alex
I had
Ross.
the floppies, and
Yeah.
I had issue 2, 3, and 4 because when we were doing comic conventions and I was letting people grab
You
books,
read them, yeah.
they grabbed the first issue.
Of course
and
they
left.
did.
So I had 2, 3, 4. I read it all digitally. Sorry, go.
Secret Wars 2015. Jonathan Hickman, of course. Esad Ribic did the art. Eve Svorchina
Mm-hmm.
did the colors. I don't know. Letters was Chris Eliopoulos and Clayton Cowles, which is weird.
They had to bring Clayton in to get the job done.
Well, no, Chris Eliopoulos was kind of like the go-to letterer before Clayton Cowles at Marvel Comics. You know, he did Civil War. He did all those events through the Bendis era and a lot of the New Avengers stuff.
I wish you could see the behind-the-scenes talk when Adam said nothing happened. That's
I know.
amazing comment.
Dude,
Minimize
Ryan, I know you're being sarcastic because holy crap. Let me see if I can get into this. Boogie said we had to go an hour, so let me rush through.
Yeah,
this
we can
shit.
go over. It's fine.
Stop me if you get lost.
I want to talk about Secret Wars, so let's get into it.
This was the culmination of work that Hickman did in various Avengers books, the Infinity Event, and even a little bit of his run on the Fantastic Four. It sees the entire Marvel universe, the multiverse, crash in on itself in an amazing science fiction action adventure book. This is not only the biggest and most daring event that Marvel has ever done. It had 49 different tie-ins. There were 45 issues of Avengers, 34 issues of New Avengers, and 21 issues of Avengers World that all tied directly into creating this event, making this thing happen. But this book was also not only the biggest, but a celebration of all the other Marvel events that had come before it. You know, Hickman is in the middle of his X-Men run now, but as of right now, this Secret Wars is his magnum opus. This is just an example of what he can do in the medium.
It's perfection.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, people said that they could have just done a hard reboot, which you could have, you know.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It was very rumored that at the time, I think, that they were
Yeah.
gonna do that, and they decided not to.
Well, he was done. They wanted him to guide everything, and he's like, "No, I'm done. You do what you want."
Contract says,
Right?
You paid me this much to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. In its design, in its scope, in its attention to detail, in its appeal to both creators because of all of the different battle world scenarios, and to the audience for the same reason, this is by far the greatest comic book event of all time. It's
Did you
the
get to read any
epitome
of
of comic book
tie-in
event.
ancillary stuff at all?
Wait,
I bought
what
into
book
a lot
did
of it.
you read?
I know I bought all the #1 issues.
You might as well include me and Jason in that, Adam, because
What?
he said, "What book did you read, Gomer?"
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was gonna read the Red Skull one because that was by Joshua Williamson, and
Yeah.
it's only 3 issues. Also, he
They're
co-wrote
all
that.
about 3 or 4. Some of them are 5 issue.
One of them was 5 issues. It's by Karen Gillan. I was like,
Yes.
holy crap! Like once
That's
a
the
future
1602 one, I think.
No.
Maybe
there
Al
was a
Ewing
there was
did
a
that.
2099 one, but I don't think
Yeah.
that was Karen Gillan. But one of them was, and I really wanted to read that, and I didn't get a chance to.
Jason and I were talking about this right before we went live. Gomer, did you notice that Comixology gave you this main story arc for free, and everything else was on sale?
Yeah.
Great business strategy to me.
Well,
That's
without a
that's a
doubt.
great idea. Great idea.
And then I was saying how like you can find them on Marvel Unlimited. They're available, so I didn't buy them, but they're really hard to find. They're not under Secret Wars and they're not under Battle World. like Red Skull, Battle World Red Skull is under Red Skull, like 2014
Yeah.
or whatever. Like it's, you know, you got to do some research or, you know, be clever on how you search for things, unfortunately. But
do we want to get into like the crux of the okay.
I just want to, well, I want to say this.
Go ahead.
What was so cool when I started reading this is I read that first issue, and this was when I first started going to a comic shop.
Oh, nice.
It was the beginning. And I remember reading that first issue because I remembered that I don't think it was the last page, but Sue and Reed getting separated. And it's like, oh my gosh, what an amazing
and his fingers get chopped off.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. But then also looking back 5 years ago, it was my first time in a comic shop. And so I see Secret Wars #1. And this is the big thing. This is what you're supposed to read.
Yep.
I don't know who half these people are. All I know are MCU characters. That's it. And I get into this. I'm like, who is this? Who is that? I am so lost. So now going back and rereading it 5 years later, it's perfection, man. It is so great. It's so great.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much that they could have done. And there's so much to expand upon. Well, not just the aftermath, but like as the story progresses. And I wish I could have been there to experience this like as it was happening, because I would have read all the tie-ins. And then I feel like there's not that many. You said there's 25 or so,
there were
but
49 different tie-in series.
It feels, I don't know, it feels like there's not that many, man. God.
Series.
Oh my God.
49 different
That's
series.
Insane.
Like
Weird. I got to read all that.
Battle World had its own series, and then there was like Secret.
So I couldn't find those on Comixology or Marvel Unlimited because I wanted to dive into all of them, and I found like 4 or 5.
I have all of the books that tied into the first Civil War event. I do not have all the books that tied in.
But I wonder how good those tie-ins are to this, because this is Hickman and this is perfection.
I mean, when you have Joshua Williamson riding one and Karen Gillan riding one, dude, they got to be.
That's what I'm saying. It's pick and choose, man. Pick and choose.
I have this in my notes. The reason this event works so well is because none of the tie-ins mattered. You did not have to read a single tie-in to understand what was going on in this book. None of it.
God, but you want to know though, because you're like, what's Wolverine up to? What's all these other characters happening that didn't get talked about in this series?
It could have been a whole new. This could have been a reboot. This world could have been an entire new Marvel universe.
Right.
Like
this could have been like DC's 5G they want to do or whatever. You know what I mean? This could have gone for the next year. For the next year, dude. I would be totally fine with that. I would be fine with that, dude.
Exactly. Yeah, Secret Wars drop twice a month. If they would have spread that out to once a quarter, yes, you could have gotten 2 or 3 years of story out of all of this Battle World thing going on.
Awesome.
I got it, Adam. Why are you smirking? Well, I don't understand.
Because I just thought he said once a quarter, and all I thought was, and Audrey, you get a quarter too.
Man, I was trying to pitch to you for something.
I know. He didn't
like
this.
Why did you not like it? Like it's so good.
Oh, you didn't like it, Adam?
It was a book. It's not that I didn't like it. It just didn't. This did it. I got the concept. It just did not blow me away. It just seemed like, you had your ultimate Earth and you had the regular Earth, and it's colliding, and then Doom, Supreme Doom or whatever made Battle World.
God Doom.
Dressing as all whites.
God, he looked amazing. It was like Game of Thrones stuff, man.
It looked
Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones happened.
Kingdoms, Apocalypse rolled one.
Game of Thrones probably already a thing.
I hope
I've cut Adam off. I asked Adam's opinion, then I cut him off.
Yeah, I hope it's, but I don't know. I guess I just wanted a little bit less of the story and more exploration of the world.
Yeah.
But if that means that I need to go into all of the tie-ins,
not all, just the parts of the world that you want to explore.
And I think it's cool that the zombies were there, and the Ultrons and stuff. But it's kind of like if Doom created this world, I just don't see. I do not see Doom allowing
those things to exist.
All the I don't see him.
Well, they explain that. They explain that
in the first Ultrons.
No, in the very first issue, when him and Doctor Strange, and I'm sorry, Stephen Strange is literally the most compelling character in this whole thing.
Great.
He understands what must be done.
He's the middleman.
Do it, and then goes along with it because everybody else failed. He doesn't want to bow down to Doom. Doom deserves to be bowed down to.
But he also didn't want to be God himself.
Yeah,
Doctor
he
Strange
couldn't
didn't
handle
want to
it.
be
That was the
God.
best. One of the best
Yeah.
parts of the book was he was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, but when him and Doom are
that
talking,
Doctor Strange knew there was only one way, and he had to die in order to let that happen.
when
I
him
mean,
and
even
Doc-
in that,
yeah, when Doom and Doctor Strange are talking, Doom even says, why do you do this? Why do you give me these daily updates? This is life. I created a world. It's doing its thing. I'm God. Don't bother me with
These are
this
potential
stuff.
threats.
And that is the crux of this entire story, Doom's ego, and how he longs to be better than Reed Richards, but he can't.
He
do
wants
it.
to be Reed Richards.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's
And
what he wants.
at the end, remember, like with the Beyonder, he
Well, with
totally was
Molecule
like,
Man. With
yeah,
Molecule Man.
Yeah.
Reed gets Doom to admit his own lack of self-confidence, and he says, yes, you could have done it better.
Done better.
And
It's like,
that's
oh, well,
why
we both
I'm
agree then.
pissed.
Let me change.
And then Molecule Man's like, oh, okay.
so
It's so like I
So
love
was
this
it
because
Ultimate
it's a
Doom?
Fantastic Four Doom story, and it's like I want, and this is like people are gonna rip me for this, but I want to put down John Byrne's Fantastic Four and go back and finish Hickman's because I read the first volume, and now I want to. It's like he gets the Fantastic Four,
does.
man.
He
It's
really
so
does.
perfect.
No, I'm kidding.
Yep.
No, that's
which
coming. If Yule goes back and watches this, I'm gonna get attacked. I know.
I've read. I think I read a rich. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask: was it explained which Doom this was?
What
Was
do you
this
mean?
was this Ultimate Doom or was this?
No. This is just 616 Doom,
Yeah,
the Doom that
616
we've
Doom.
known.
Was there a Doom in
Ultimate
Ultimate?
Doom, as far as I know, was murdered by the Maker in the Ultimate Doom story.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Okay.
what? Going back in 5 years ago, I didn't even know who the Maker was.
Yeah.
So like that takes away so much from this story when you don't realize who the Maker is because they really don't explain it in the first couple of issues. It
Wasn't
takes a
that the
few
reason
issues.
Oh yeah, it's issue 4 when they're working together. When he's like, "Yeah, your face is my face. But
Right.
look how my face looks so much younger. What the hell are you worrying about, dude?"
Yeah, my face is messed up and it still is
Yeah.
better than yours.
And no, that's actually a really
Yeah.
poignant moment because
Yeah.
the thing that Reed Richards, what drives him, is his family. That
He
keeps
says,
him
"I
centered.
learned to care about other people."
Exactly.
Other
The
than
Maker
myself. Yeah.
hasn't. The Maker hasn't. That's why the Maker does what he does. And again, that's why Doom is so damn envious of him. Because he does have that family and he does, you know what I mean? And Reed throughout this never loses that focus. It's the same thing that keeps him on track during the Fantastic Four run that Hickman did, the family aspect. A lot of times he goes off, but he always ends up coming back.
That's why it's the best comic family in the world.
You're right. First family of comics.
Dude, I really do wish they would have touched more on the Ultron stuff because they just mentioned it and they never brought it up again. It is on the tie-in, their whole entire tie-in section dedicated to the Ultrons. But yeah, you figured they would have been a much bigger threat than what it was in the series. It was just barely
It's
touched
difficult because the scope is so damn big and because of the way Marvel does events. They don't want Hickman writing that story. They want Hickman writing his story. Hickman just sort of gives everybody a tapestry to do whatever they want.
All the Hulks, all the Ultrons,
Oh, dude, when all the Hulks showed up with
zombies,
All the
Maestro.
Thors,
Yeah.
all the Thors,
all the
it's so
Thors,
cool.
the Thor Corps. Yeah.
Well,
What's the
and
best-
they missed
what's-
that. That's why the Thor book is the one to read because this is Jane Foster Thor.
Yeah.
But she comes in there and she sort of it's like the police. Okay, that's what the Thor book is. It's basically a crime procedural. But when
And they
she
realize
shows
they're fighting for the wrong government, so they fight amongst themselves.
she
It's
shows
awesome.
up and shows
love that part.
everybody, all the Thors, the right direction to go, and that's a must read involved in this. But a lot of them you don't need at all.
I love
will
seeing
say-
like the cops fight among themselves. You know what I mean? It was that dynamic of like what we're fighting for is not the correct thing, and we need to like realize that. And then of course you have those loyalists who don't care. They're like U.S. agents who just does what he's told, as opposed to being right or wrong morally. And so I love that dynamic, and I feel like that's always needs to be brought about or talked about more. So
I will say when this event hit, I remember because my comic shop had the Battle World board thing.
Cool.
I have, you want me to get mine? I have it. I think right over here. Go ahead.
I have mine in a box. But I remember when I got it, I was hyped for this event because I thought, oh, it's going to be like a zombie world and all this. It's going to be crazy with all these different worlds going on and the battle. But then what happened in the books?
Oh yeah, bend over, get that board.
Oh yeah, digging it deeper.
I also noticed that Littlefoot. Look at that Littlefoot from Land
It's
of
always
Time.
there. It's always there.
I never knew there was this much depth in that room.
Those giant Pez dispensers. Jeez, I never seen that stuff.
It's so much better when Gomer's not there and we're just checking out his room.
What the hell?
Sorry, man.
I don't have the board. I have the cutouts.
Oh, I got
Okay.
those too. I
wish they would have made like a Risk game. Did they make a game out of this, like a board game?
Not really, but it was kind of like that. You could sort of do that. I have the board somewhere.
Hold out, but I was just because I got so hyped with that stuff with the
crap that I did not care about. That's what's so funny. To each their own. It's crazy.
I was like, well, this really isn't. I'm not really looking into. I mean, we're not really going into these battles of Battle World.
Yeah,
it's more focused on the story, which is fine. That's what it was. That's what it's supposed to do. But it's like, this is great. This is great with Doom, but let's go over here and fight.
Yeah, I know, man.
Battle Worlds.
And the Fantastic Four guys like, this is perfect. I love everything about Doom. Let's do this.
I love it all.
When you see the map and it says like there's a whole entire little country of 2099, I'm like, I want to go there. Can I see what's going on there, or like just check in for a bit?
But is that not the sign of a perfect event that you're like, I gotta read it all? Let's do this. I want to do this, and then we'll rate it, and then we'll wrap this thing up and get out of here. Give me your top 3 moments from this event, and I'll go first, and it's in no particular order, but I'll start with
bring this on me.
The first issue. Yeah, this is nobody knows what's coming. The first issue when the ship breaks apart, Sue Reed gets separated. And Hickman, he did it a lot in his Fantastic Four run. He fades to white, and I love when he does that. Number 2 for me is probably Ben Grimm when he's the Shield and gets pulled out of the wall. That's great. And then it might be my favorite moment of the entire event when Valeria leads Sue to Reed. What a freaking moment, man! What a moment!
I got my 3. The revelation that Johnny Storm has been punished to become the sun.
That is amazing.
Amazing.
That was so cool.
For pure
Midnight was like, I think the sun is evolving around the earth.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
That was I think it was Maximus.
Max Lord. Max Lord.
So good. For pure summer blockbuster sort of action, the Thanos spine rip.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Mean? Yeah, that was going to be
There's also an honorable mention when Thanos is talking to Doom the first time, and he's like, yeah, you think you're all big and bad. You're good at playing God, but look, you don't even grab it. And Doom says, I am God. Just that flat out Doom being Doom. But I think my favorite moment, and it's so telling, is when Doom's face is still ugly.
Yeah,
because
he can't fix himself.
The true impotence of
this
the
end when it's not.
Yeah,
Reed is better than Doom. Reed was able to fix his face.
Yeah.
Doom wasn't able to do it because of his own personal hangups that he's not better than Reed Richards.
And because his face was fixed, he became a good guy in Infinite Iron Man by Bendis. And that was an amazing series until the end where he was going to leave Marvel, and then the story fell through in the last issue.
Yes.
But man, that was such a great issue.
Dude, I've got
it's right here. Oh, I love seeing Good Guy Doom.
One of my favorite things ever. Look at that.
I love Good Guy Doom.
I loved it too. I loved that series.
And I wonder if they do a God Emperor Doom action figure where he's all in white. I gotta find one.
There's gotta be one.
I gotta find one.
There's probably a Funko Pop that's like $700.
Right? Con exclusive nonsense.
Yeah. They made 10 of them.
Any more moments? Because that's
Jason. What's your top 3 if there's any?
It's hard for me to pick a top anything, so I can't do that. But all the ones you guys highlighted were absolutely correct, and I'm not sure what else I can expand on that, man. I can't. Nothing pops in my head. That would be so great. One thing I do want to bring up the covers, because Alex Ross did such amazing covers. There's a lot of things and people that are on there. It's like false advertisement, but it's cool to see Alex Ross go wild.
It's sort of like they said all of the Marvel universe is being explored in this event. So just do whatever the hell you want, Alex.
Yeah, like even on there, you saw For Bushman. The Ick or Eck or 8, whatever that series we were talking about last week or 2 weeks ago, with the pan on the head, that dude. Oh yeah. He was on the cover.
How great was the panel that showed Reed's face and Doom's face?
The checkerboard.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How much for that piece of
Tarantino? Yeah.
It reminded me of Sorrentino. So good. And this was some of Esad Ribick's like early, stuff. He's come up where he's like a go-to guy now. He's
really so much better now, though. I like his work on Conan the Barbarian way better than the Secret Wars stuff. Like
the colors in this were muted, and it was all across the board. And I'm okay with that, but I would have preferred a less artsy looking and more shiny.
I was upset about it. That's why I asked if you had a different copy than the Comixology one, because the Comixology one, like some of the word, not bubbles, but just the squares, the dialogue boxes, they were like a little faded, and that wasn't from pencils. It's just a blurry version that they had of it. Yeah. So I was disappointed in that. So quick backstory. When I got into comics, I was reading all the stuff starting from, I want to say a little before Secret Invasion. So all the Bendis stuff. His new Avengers run, I think, is where I started. Went to Secret Invasion, and I stopped right before the Dark Reign. And then I always wanted to read Secret Wars, so I started reading Hickman's Avengers, which jumps ahead a little bit. And so I read, I want to say a good 10, 20 issues. And then I stopped, and I was like, I don't have time for this. Let me get into Secret Wars. Read 2 or 3 issues of Secret Wars. So I never got to finish this, and I've been saving it forever to read Secret Wars. So I wanted a high quality copy because I knew it couldn't get any better than this. I knew this is the best Marvel event of all time in my eyes, because I love Hickman so much. Yeah. And so
I was the best one I've ever read.
It's by far. I've read them all, dude. This is the best Marvel comic book event. Modern day, maybe you could go back and talk some of the Phoenix Saga and the first Secret Wars and some stuff like that. But those events were different, after Civil War.
Because I had it hyped so big in my head. I want to say not let down, but there's so much you could do, but I'm sure they're pressed on time and schedule that they had to do certain things or what have you, and so that for me that's a little unfortunate, because you could have dragged this on forever, which is funny because you see the War of the World stuff where I feel like they dragged that on for too long. I feel like the Carnage, Maximum Carnage was dragged on for too long. I feel like this could have been dragged on forever in a good way. And it's unfortunate.
If we had the guy we have now, maybe Secret Wars would have been longer. Status quo change, kind of like they did with Age of Apocalypse for an extended period of time.
Yeah. But because I read that Hickman's Adventure stuff, which is why I understood what was happening with the colliding of the worlds, the Illuminati, and that's the incursions, and all that stuff. So for a new reader who didn't experience any of that stuff, who didn't read any of the new Adventure stuff, I feel like you might have been a little confused. so
is it safe to say that this is all $3.99?
Oh yeah, that's $8.
I don't know, man.
That's what I'm saying. What's Adam gonna rate it?
I want to hear his favorite moments if he's got them.
Yeah.
He's like, I like the last page.
He's like, when
it was over,
because I was done with the damn thing. $2.99.
Yeah, $2.99.
What could have been better about it to make this a better book?
Flesh out the battle world.
They did.
Well, I guess
it's not in the main title, right?
You created this whole world.
If they go ahead
for this one, it'd be like if you created this whole world and you had this one story within, and it's like you've got all this other stuff, and maybe that was fleshed out. I don't know, but
that's the tie-ins, right?
I wonder,
like if they went from world to world, the story would have sucked. Like you can't do that. It would have been 75
Game of Thrones,
issues.
though. It's like Game of Thrones, where it's like you touch on a little bit of the drama, what's happening in different locations,
but
and
it's
then
like
it culminates. It comes together eventually,
It would have had to be the new world
and they did touch on
what we're doing.
And they did touch on the drama between the territories,
the kingdoms a bit, Apocalypse beef and Mr. Sinister's beef,
Madeline Pryor was hanging out there with her
so hot
underboobs.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. I want to say, shout out to Gaumer for changing the pick. Like we were going to read Southern Bastards, and I was kind of like, I don't know, man. But it's like it's your pick. Do what you want. I'm so glad you changed it.
Yeah, anniversary.
I'm so glad
It
I
did read
it.
really quick too. We were nervous
Yeah.
with the 9 plus the 0 issue, but man, it reads.
I sat down twice. I read the first half and then the second half.
I did
two
too.
different days.
Yeah. Well, I read
And
it twice, but I did it both times. I broke it up.
I already want to buy the trade and read it and just own it on my shelf.
I want Adam to go and find the tie-ins.
I want to read.
That's what he needs to do.
Yeah,
I want
read
him to explore Battle World because it is an amazing place, and he's right. It is one of the most appealing and compelling aspects of the event, and the event series really doesn't touch on any of the particulars of those individual places, not even Doomstadt, where it takes place, you know? How about Groot? No one mentioned Life.
Oh, yeah.
Willie P.
right.
That was one of
The
Willie
World
P's
Tree.
top 3 moments.
was
That was
it?
great. That was
Yeah,
great.
that was a great moment.
None of you mentioned Franklin Richards with Galactus.
Dude, yeah.
That was
Killing
another
Ben,
great
killing
moment.
Ben, dude, punching through Ben.
Dude.
Yeah,
Dude.
And Ben's like, just gives up and takes it.
Yeah, he's like, I knew who you are now,
Yeah.
and so
When
I
he
don't want to
realizes
fight you.
it- Oh,
It really
God.
You
could
should
have
have
went any
told
other
him. You
way
should
for
have told
Ben
him.
Grimm.
Like, you're my nephew. You should have said something. God.
No,
Dude,
he just backed
so
down and took it.
good.
Look, let's
So
wrap
good.
this thing up. We got to get out of here. Let me say this: things that are going on in the world of the S&B Network tomorrow night. It's the Adam and brackets Adam Wade Adams show. Come join us.
Yeah.
We're going to be chatting with Wes Loker. Dude, if either one of you guys want to come hang out, do it tomorrow night. You're more than welcome. We're going to be chatting with Wes Loker about Bug Slugger #1 tonight, right now, going on right now. As soon as we close this, go jump over to the Akari Press YouTube channel and watch Money in the Bank. We're going to be streaming it on the WWE Network and chatting about it.
Watching you all watch Money in the Bank.
That's cool.
Yeah, way to shut us down, Adam. Thanks, we appreciate that.
Second screen experience.
Come hang
Jump
out.
over there and give them a hard time.
Come hang out with us and watch the pay-per-view. They're streaming right now, so I'm going to jump over and join them. But it's been a lot of fun.
I do want to say one thing before we leave. I'm sorry to drag this on. Rest in peace, Little Richard. And also, he's
Drop the facts, bro. Quit.
yeah,
being
and
mean.
also Little Richard stole everything from Escarita. Not
There
to
you
take away
go.
from Little Richard because he had a great life and impacted so many people, but he stole his act, his music, his style, his performance, everything from a guy called Escarita, Esquierta. Look up Escarita. Influenced Little Richard, and Little Richard took everything from him. For the record. So one thing that bothered me, I want to start off the show with this, but we had to guess. But I was like, everyone's saying the originator, the original rock and roll god. I was like, this dude stole.
really mad about it, y'all.
I was so mad because the true original died and was buried in an unmarked grave.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this guy's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Great stuff, either way. But anyways, sorry, I just had to say something.
Hey, Chris P. Bacon says Money in the Bank. Morrison is the man. I'm dropping the link right now in the chat.
Yeah.
Jump on over to the Akari Press YouTube channel. Hang out with us. We're going to be watching wrestling. I'm going to regret this tomorrow when I got to get up at 5 o'clock. But also, make sure you come back. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Join me and Adam tomorrow. Maybe Gaumer and Jason will come hang out as well. But it's been a lot of fun. Next week, we got another guest interview. Look for more information on that. I've got to confirm with that guest, but we will see you guys next week.